One of the areas in which our religion has been grossly misunderstood, or it needs this revaluation, this revisitation, this critical revaluation, is this area in which music, for example, is played on an instrument, or maybe you sing songs through it, or you are learning an instrument. But you see, you might have a different background, but generally you'll find many parents, they don't encourage music. They would not like you to become a professional musician. They will not like you to become a guitarist maybe. I'm just not saying that this is the case always, but most parents would, they would say that, well, you go on with your professional life, have a good degree, and you can do music as well as your part-time activity, and be careful, you might even come to know that music is haram, and so you might spoil your relationship with God as well. So you see, there are a number of things which we find out going on in our lives which relate to this perception that perhaps religion prohibits music, perhaps it's an evil thing, and perhaps when we sing or we are able to play an instrument, we are disobeying God in some way or the other, or there is something that is really bad. And so you see, what happens is that because this feeling to express ourselves in the form of songs, in the form of music, it naturally comes out of us. All of us are singers. We could be bathroom singers, but we still sing. You don't stop singing, because when you're happy, singing is something which comes naturally to you. And what happens is, because we have been generally told that singing is prohibited or music is prohibited, we have that feeling of guilt in us. We do sing at times, but we think, oh well, we're doing something bad, we're doing something wrong. The reason being that one of the areas in which our younger generation feels that guilt and at the same time still enjoys music, and at the same time at times it disregards religion. See, I have seen youngsters shy away from religion, shy away from God, merely because they are told that God is adverse to music, or our religion is adverse to music, and they say that, how can this be? How can a religion teach such a thing which comes so naturally to us? So that is why I've chosen this topic. And just to make this point I would underscore this point, and that is, if you read the Quran and if you read your history and hadith narratives, you'll find out that if you start off with the Quran, there is absolutely not a single verse in the Quran which says that music is prohibited. In fact, what we do see on the other hand is that the Prophet David, to whom was revealed the Psalms, a very, very beautiful book of hymns, he would recite that from his memory, and he would play the harp. He would play the harp and sing those hymns out to everyone. And we know from the Quran that the birds and the mountains and many other elements of nature, they would join his singing. So not only is there no prohibition in the Quran of any sort of music, we find on the other hand that a very, very famous prophet of God did so. And for example, if it was something that the Almighty did not have liked, he would have said, well, David is a singer, but I don't approve of singing. And God never said that. So you see, what happened is that not only did God not disapprove of David, he actually praised him for his this humility and the way he would sing these songs. So that takes care of the Quran. Now, as far as the hadith is concerned, it is here that you'll find that there are certain narratives which do tell us that, for example, one of the narratives says that the Prophet is reported to have said that I have been sent in this world to break these musical instruments, or that he would say that music is something which is prohibited. Very few narratives are very, very soundly reported, but the ones that are, I've just recited them before you. Now, you see, one of the things that you need to understand while you're discussing hadith and outside the Quran scenarios and outside the Quran literature is that you must gather all the texts on a particular topic and then see and collate it with the Quran and find out what's actually being said. So if you gather all the narratives in hadith literature, you'll find out that it's not singing that is being prohibited or music which is being prohibited. What was happening in the time of the Prophet was that people would drink they would drink liquor, they would become inebriated, and songstresses and prostitutes and similar women would come and they would sing these songs, and they would not be wearing a proper dress, and they would create such gatherings which would have a lot of immorality about it. So it was to such gatherings that the Prophet said, while referring to these musical instruments, that for such areas I'm just going to break these instruments. Of course, these were not his exact words, these were reported, but the point that is being made is that it's not music that he was against. It was the aura which was being created, because music was generally being played in gatherings in which we had this extreme immorality in them, that the Prophet said this. And when we go deeper, we'll find out that as far as music is concerned, we know that there were two girls actually in one of the Eid days singing in front of the Prophet. And Abu Bakr radiallahu, who was a companion of the Prophet, he came into the Prophet's presence and said that he actually asked Aisha, his daughter, that why is that these girls are singing these songs in front of the Prophet, and it is not proper. And the Prophet had actually taken his side was on this side, and the girl was singing on this side. He was just lying down on the bed. He turned around and said, Abu Bakr, leave them. It's their day of Eid. Let them enjoy. Let them do what they are doing. So you see, not only we don't find any prohibition in the Quran, not only there are certain narratives which speak otherwise, we find that the Prophet himself at times listening to them, or listening to emotions which were purely expressed. So if we gather all this data, and I've written about this and lectured about that, maybe you can just see, I'm just making a short presentation here, you'll find out that what actually comes to light is that the content of music is something that must not be vulgar, it must not be immoral. As far as if that is taken care of, singing songs, playing music, playing instruments is perfectly okay. You can even adopt music as a profession. You can go on and become a maestro. You can become a Mozart or a Beethoven or a Paganini. So you see, the bottom line here is our religion, and every divine religion wants us to be pure from inside. It wants us that we should not tarnish the image of our souls, the mirror of our souls. And when we indulge in any vulgarity, any immorality, it takes us away from the realities of life. It takes us away from God. So what I can say while summing up my view here is that it's not music which is prohibited, or not songs which are prohibited. It is only if we use music and songs for immorality, or for content which has something in immorality. Now if you ask me what exactly is immorality, you don't need to, because you see, everyone knows what immorality is, what things which are expressed in a way are best done if they are done in private. When you express certain things in open, even though they are very, very acknowledged facts, you see, what you do is you do something which is outrageous at times, or it is not, what we say is it's inappropriate to do it in maybe in a gathering or something. But just to let you know that as far as music is concerned, as far as singing is concerned, as long as you don't indulge in content which is either maybe polytheistic in nature, as you would know that there are certain qawwalis, if you know this synth or this genre of music in which these Muslim saints, as they used to sing, they have a lot of qawwalis. A qawwali is a very powerful instrument, and if you hear it, you really feel ecstatic. But a lot of these qawwalis, if you just reflect on their meaning, on the lines that they say, they are polytheistic in nature. So as long as these things are taken care of, using music to your advantage, using music for creativity, using music as a profession, there is absolutely nothing wrong with it. And you must, if you are, encourage yourself that if you are a good bathroom singer, develop your songs, make yourself more proficient in singing, learn some instruments and express yourself, because this in itself is creativity.